All right, so we might get started. So as I said, my name's Jessica Potter. I'm from the Faculty of Science at the University of Melbourne. Before I start tonight, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that I'm on today, the Wurundjeri people, as well as the traditional owners of the land that you might be on today, and acknowledge that Indigenous Australians have been custodians of the lands and waterways of Australia for thousands of years, and I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So I'd like to thank you for joining us for this session this evening. So this evening, the session will be covering graduate study options in the Faculty of Science at the University of Melbourne. So we do offer a wide variety of programs within the faculty. So I will try and cover information on those programs this evening. We'll be going over some of the entry requirements and just a bit of the information on the actual program itself, career outcomes, and so on. Tonight, I've got some colleagues with me who are moderating the Q&A and the chat. So if you do have any questions that come up during the presentation, please feel free to pop them into the Q&A function and my colleagues can answer them there. There will be some time at the end for live Q&A if there are some other questions following the presentation. So just to start off, why study science? So I'm sure that you're all here and you've had these thoughts already, as to why you might want to study science. So as you would know, science is solving the great challenges facing modern society. So it's diverse, studying science programs, and it's an ideal way to start a career in not only science, but other areas as well. So engineering, health and IT, you can go into a number of different areas. So I guess, only when you start to understand how something might work is how you can look at improving it. So our science programs give you the tools to find out what's going on and solve some really big challenges. So later on in the presentation, we do speak a little bit about different research that the amazing academics here at the university are undertaking. So they are looking to solve really big challenges facing society today. So things like climate change, for example. In terms of some of the graduate science programs that you may be interested in, or you may be looking to study and to solve those great problems, I should say, that are facing society today. We do have quite a number of different programs. So we have professional coursework masters. We have a Master of Science suite that is a bit more research based. We also have some graduate research programs and graduate certificates and diplomas. So I won't read through all of them, but they're just listed there up on screen. But I will start by just running through some information on the Master of Science suite. So there are different specialisations based in the Master of Science suite. So each specialisation is actually a different course. So when you apply for the program, you would apply specifically for that specialisation. So we have bioinformatics, biosciences, chemistry, earth sciences, epidemiology, mathematics and statistics, and physics. So as I said, they're all separate courses with varying entry requirements, content and career outcomes. So in terms of the program itself, you do study coursework subjects alongside research. So you would undertake a research project within the program. Just a little bit more on the Master of Science suite. So this, all these programs allow you to build your employability and professional skills through internships. If you're looking at doing that, you can gain more than just technical skills through doing the research project as well as an internship. By undertaking this program, you work with academics and join a global research community, so you're learning from the best. You can customise the course as well to suit your interests, and you're working on real world problems and developing your skills alongside that. And yeah, a big one obviously is the research project. So becoming research ready through this program. So if students are looking at studying the Master of Science, they will typically, upon completion, go straight into the workforce, just depending on what they've studied or what their career aspirations are, or they will follow on and go on to PhD. So if a career in research is your goal, we would in general recommend the Master of Science. It's a really great preparation for your PhD. And I will chat a little bit more about the PhD and entry requirements further on in the presentation. But with some of these programs, if you do have a certain GPA when you enter the program, you are guaranteed a pathway into research. But I do have a slide on that later on. Just moving on to the next slide, I've got two sample course plans here. So there's two variations. So the top one here is a sample course plan for the Master of Science Earth Sciences, and the bottom one is for the Master of Science Biosciences. So this is just to give you a bit of a breakdown of the program, and it's worth noting that the size of the research project actually differs in each stream of the Master of Science. So as an example, for some that we don't have here, we just don't have the example here, but you can also have a look on the website. The Master of Mathematics, the Master of Science Maths and Stats, that particular one that has around 4 standard subjects for the research project. So they kind of vary depending on the specialisation. But yeah, you can see here that there's quite a bit of flexibility still in, like, there are core subjects you need to take, but then you've also got electives. Students also have to undertake professional skills subjects. So you can choose from subjects like science communication, which is a really fantastic skill for students to gain through the program. And then you've got the research project throughout here as well. In terms of research connections that the Faculty of Science has, we are a really, obviously, a huge research institution, and we really play an important role in Australia's knowledge economy. So we're involved in numerous research initiatives and networks. So we've just highlighted some of them here. We're located in Parkville, as many of you may know. So we're surrounded by research institutions and inner research and medical precinct. So really located in a fantastic place if you are looking to do research and develop those connections and networks. And just moving on to the next slide here. Just an example of some of the research projects that academics are working on. They're all working on amazing things that are changing the world. So within the Master of Science Bioscience, there is a team of marine researchers looking at reducing the impact of climate change and combating the rising sea temperatures, decimating coral reefs around the world. So they're working on ways to make coral more resistant to our rapidly changing environment. So that's just a really exciting research project that has been happening within the faculty, and just one example of the ways in which academics within the faculty are contributing to solving these kind of real world problems, through the research projects that students are doing, as well as some really exciting things happening there as well. In terms of the entry requirements for the programs, so students need to have an undergraduate degree with a major in a relevant area to the particular specialisation. You do need to have a weighted average mark of at least 65% in the best 50 points. So that's approximately 4 to 6 subjects. So I guess with the entry requirements listed here, they are in University of Melbourne terms. So like that 50 points is typically equivalent to 4 subjects within the University of Melbourne, and they're in the appropriate discipline studies at 3rd or 4th year. and just making sure you've met any course-specific subject prerequisites. And then for some of the programs as well, you do need to find a supervisor prior to commencing the program. So you need to get endorsement from a supervisor as part of the application process. If that is the case, that's listed on the entry requirement page of our website there. So yeah, I recommend that if you are interested in one of the Master of Science programs, to check in on the entry requirement page of the study website for each area, and it will go into a bit more detail around whether or not you need the supervisor, and some helpful hints and I guess on how to contact the supervisor and just get in touch with the supervisor, what kind of information you may need to provide. There's also information there on the kinds of documents you'll need to upload to your application. If you do have any questions around entry requirements, feel free to pop them in the chat. Otherwise, at the end of the presentation, we can answer that through the live Q&A. So I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but in terms of where a Master of Science program can take you once you've graduated, you know, obviously a lot of students they undertake the research project look to go on to a PhD, so further research. However, that's not all. You know, students do go on to professional employment as well in like consulting firms, government departments, finance, IT, telecommunications. So it's pretty varied depending upon the particular specialisation that you undertake. So yeah, quite a few different career outcomes, yeah, depending upon what you've studied, and again, yeah, what your goals are in terms of your career as well. Just moving on to a bit of information on one of our other programs, so kind of going more into that what we call professional masters programs. So for the Master of Data Science, that one is quite a popular program. So with this program, you're combining computer science, data science, and statistics. So you can choose from a wide range of electives and specialise in different areas. So for this particular program, we are looking at students with an undergraduate degree with a major in computer science, data science, or statistics. We're also looking at the prerequisites as well. So there's a few prerequisites that students need to have completed. So they are equivalents of Calculus 2 and linear algebra, and a tertiary level subject with a focus on computer programming. So for this particular program, there are quite specific entry requirements. If you don't meet the entry requirements, you may actually be eligible for the graduate diploma in data science. So that's also another option. And at present, for the data science program, we only have one intake for this program, which is study intake only. In terms of the types of subjects that you might study within the Master of Data Science, we've just got a sample course plan here. So the first example is for students with a statistics background. So you can see here that you've got some prerequisite subjects that you need to undertake, but then there's also the electives in the, I guess, kind of like teal colour, or one of the blue colours there. And then everybody undertakes the capstone project, which is a data science project. So it enables students to work on like a real life project and put together all the skills that they've gained within their program, and kind of put that all together and tie that all up and apply that in a project. Within the program as well, students do also have the opportunity to undertake an internship or research. So that's also an option that students can undertake as well. The next few programs that I just wanted to focus on were our environment focused programs. So we have 4 courses that are, I guess, yeah, based around environment and focused on different aspects of the environment. So We have a new program, the Master of Climate Science. So that program has started for this year. So our first intake will be for semester 1 this year. So for climate science, for this program, has a focus on climate systems, current and historical, and from a scientific perspective to better understand climate change. We've got the Master of Environment. With that program, it's quite interdisciplinary. So students look at environment from a number of different angles and through the lens of a number of different study areas as well. So in that particular program, you might also be looking at policy, you might be looking at law, economics, and science in that program. So that one's very flexible to really tailor that to your interests. We also have the Master of Environmental Science for this particular program. This one focuses on environmental challenges from a scientific perspective, and you learn how to produce risk assessments and consult in that program. And then the final one in the environment suite of programs is ecosystem management and conservation. So this one actually just has a focus on land and ecosystem management strategies, and you look to work with community and government in protecting and preserving that. So there's 4 different programs, all quite different. So you're depending upon your goals, what you're looking to get out of a career as well. It really depends on those kinds of factors as to what program you would choose. And there are also specific entry requirements as well, which I'll cover in the next slide. But yeah, with all of these 4 programs, it's really exciting that we're offering all of these programs, and yeah, they all look at different ways in which you can tackle climate change. And yeah, make a positive impact on the environment. So yeah, all looking at that in different ways and through different lenses. In terms of the entry requirements, so for the Master of Climate Science, students do need to have an undergraduate degree in physics, chemistry, maths, computer science, engineering, environmental science, or an equivalent. And then you also need to have a calculus-based maths subject, and again, needing a WAM of 65% as a minimum. For the Master of Environment, students need to have an undergraduate degree in what we call cognate discipline. So it's a related discipline with a weighted average mark of 65%. So we've just noted here that due to the interdisciplinary nature of the program, cognate may also include things like arts programs, commerce, architecture, science and engineering. For the Master of Environmental Science, students need to have an undergraduate degree with a major in a relevant discipline. So that could be agricultural science, biological science, chemistry, earth science, and there's a few more listed there. And then for ecosystem management and conservation, students require an undergraduate degree with a relevant science discipline with a weighted average mark of 65%, or an undergraduate degree in any discipline with some first year subjects, or you can also complete the graduate certificate in environment as well, or in some cases, diploma and work experience. The next program, which I'll just focus on, is the Master of Biotechnology. So for this program, students are able to gain an understanding of the full product pipeline in biotechnology, so from manufacture through to market. And students can choose from a wide range of electives that you can focus your studies on. So that could mean looking at areas in agriculture, health, or pharmaceuticals, or plant sciences. So yep, so a few different areas that you can focus on there. In terms of the entry requirements for that program, students need to have an undergraduate program in an appropriate scientific discipline and have a weighted average mark of at least 65%. Just got another course plan here just to highlight what you may study in the Master of Biotechnology. So it's a 2-year program, and it's made up of core subjects and elective subjects. So the core subjects includes the industry project in biotechnology, so working on an actual industry project. So in your first year, you cover core subjects in science, commercialisation and professional skills, and then you've got your two biotechnology elective subjects. And then in your second subject, you complete your core and elective subjects and you undertake the industry project in biotechnology. So just moving to research. So I have spoken a lot about research, the types of research the faculty does undertake, and it is a huge part of the faculty and the university, obviously, as a whole. If you are looking at studying a PhD within the Faculty of Science, to be considered for entry, you have to have a 4-year undergraduate degree in a relevant discipline, which would include a substantial research component. So we just have a little bit more detail there, or a master's degree in a relevant discipline, which would also include a substantial research component. So with the master's, it needs to be equivalent to at least 25% of 1 year of full-time study. And then with both of those, you need a minimum weighted average mark of 75%. And then they may also look at your professional experience as well. You also need to ensure that you provide a referee reports, and you need to seek endorsement from a prospective supervisor as well. As I mentioned before, if you've been offered a place in some of the master's programs with an entry score of at least 80%, you may also be eligible to receive a conditional offer for the PhD program as well. So just wanting to move on to your experience within the Faculty of Science. So things that can enrich your time studying within the faculty, and the different opportunities that you may have as a science student. So in terms of career connections, we hold events that connect students with industry and other employers. So they're held throughout the year. So you've got the opportunity to network and learn from professionals. We also offer students a STEM industry mentoring program and a job ready short course. So that helps develop communication skills and further enhance employability. In terms of the employability and professional skills, we've kind of touched on some of those before, but within the Master of Science, you've got the opportunity to undertake subjects that develop your employability and professional skills. And in some of the other programs, you're undertaking things like science communication, those types of subjects really enhance your experience as well. While you're also studying with us, there is opportunity to volunteer and extend learning. Another one example of that is the Science Student Ambassador Program. So that's a great way that you can volunteer. And there's also overseas experiences as well, which we hope in 2022 that there will be more overseas experiences and moving on into the next few years as well. The faculty also keeps in touch with students regularly through newsletters to let you know about any exciting opportunities that are available as well. And just finally, just to chat a little bit more about where the programs might take you, and just some examples of our graduates and where they've gone on. So firstly, just in terms of science employability, I think that this is just a really good one to focus on. So in terms of the employability of science graduates and STEM, STEM jobs, they've grown 19.7% between 2014 and 2019. And so 70% of people employed in STEM occupations also hold a tertiary degree. And then we've got here some information on the median annual income for STEM qualified individuals. So that this is just sourced from the Office of the Chief Scientist Australia's STEM Workforce Report, if anybody's interested in that. And again, just some industries that science and STEM graduates may go into. So you can see there that they're quite varied. So even though you may be studying a science degree, people may still go into education and training, public administration and safety. So there's a wide variety of career outcomes there. And this is just a little snapshot from the Australian government's skills and employment graduate outcome survey. So this is, obviously an Australia-wide survey just based on postgraduate coursework graduates in these particular areas. So just having a look at the median salary as well. And so moving on to the next slide, we've just got a bit of a highlight from one of our alumni. So Vandana completed her Master of Biotechnology at the end of 2020. So she secured a job as a regulatory affairs assistant at a dental materials company, SDI Limited. So she actually used her industry placement to build connections with industry and test out the knowledge that she had in a real life work context. So that's a really great opportunity by undertaking the industry projects and being able to apply those skills as well. So on to the next alumni highlight. So this is a graduate from the Master of Environmental Science. Iman completed his Master of Environmental Science at the end of 2020. So as part of his studies, he actually undertook an internship. So he did an internship with Trust for Nature. So that is one of Australia's oldest conservation organisations. So he also worked on the Melbourne Metro Tunnel project and he assisted with environmental site inspections. And he landed a role at the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning. So he'll be using his skills in environmental impact monitoring, risk assessment and remote sensing that he acquired during his Masters. So I think that's a really great example of being able to undertake those internships and gaining those professional skills to then assist with landing a role upon graduation. And another alumni profile that we have is a graduate from the Master of Science Chemistry. Bo Wang, he completed his Master of Science and he focused a lot on research. So in 2020, he became an assistant to the director of a cancer institute and continues in that role. So within that program that he undertook, he was able to gain some really great research skills and apply that and has that role today. So so he actually started, so he completed that once he graduated in 2015. So that's where he went after his program. But as I mentioned, there's a really wide variety of career outcomes that students can go on to once they graduate from their programs. In terms of how to apply for the programs, for the Faculty of Science, our programs have closed for the semester one intake. But mid-year applications for most of our programs will be closing on the 31st of May this year. So that's just for the mid-year intake. So in terms of how to apply, students just apply directly to the university and you just need to submit an online application. If you are applying as an international student, you can apply online or you can apply through one of our overseas representatives as well, so an education agent. And I will now just open it to any questions that you may have. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer those. I know that my colleagues, I'm sure, have been busy answering. Wow, there's lots of questions that have been asked in the Q&A. So that's great to see. I think they've been busy answering those. But if there are any questions, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A now. Okay, so we do have one here. Oh, I just missed that. I think that it was something about, oh, here we go. We do have a question just around missing a few slides. So yes, this session is recorded. So the session will be distributed to students following the conclusion of the session. I think it will be actually sent out tomorrow. So yeah, so if you missed anything, or if you just wanted to look over the slides again or look over the presentation, that will be available. Okay. All right, so we've got a few questions here. Okay, so we've got a question here about the entry requirements different if transferring from another university. In general, they are the same. So if you are coming from an Australian institution, so the admissions team will assess your application, and they will also have a look at, it depends on the program that you're applying for, but yeah, they'll have a look at calculating, say, for example, if you're applying for the Master of Science program, yeah, they'll look at the equivalent best 50 points, and they will calculate all of that. We've got a few other questions here, and I think that they're being answered here around the deadline for PhD applications and more information on the guaranteed pathway. So for the guaranteed pathway, that information is on our website. Hopefully that one of my colleagues has addressed that there. And there is an email address that you can send admissions queries to. I think my colleague is answering that, so that will be in the chat. It is students@unimelb.edu.au. So if you do have any questions, you can send them to our recruitment and admissions team, and we're happy to answer those. And we've also got, okay, the graduate certificate. Okay, so in terms of the graduate certificate, so that's just, we've got a question from Ruby on the graduate certificate in environment. I might just get one of my colleagues just to pop some information on the subjects just into the chat. So if somebody can just put through maybe just the link to the handbook. And we are also offering one-to-one consultations. So I think some information may go out on that in the next few days. So if you do have any questions, like really specific questions around course structure, we're happy to make an appointment and chat to you and talk about how that would work. Oh, that's a really great question from Luke, which I'll just put that. I'm just going to answer that one now. So, yeah, how is campus access for lab-based project work being handled at this stage in relation to COVID? And has project design been significantly affected? So my understanding is that students who are doing lab-based work were able to apply for exemptions, and in certain cases were permitted to still undertake some of that. That is a really great question, and I will get the team to follow up, and we will get back to you, Luke, just to get a few more examples just on how that did work, and if things were significantly affected. But yeah, my understanding is that there were some things that could could still happen on campus, and some projects that could still occur, but we will look into that and get back to you as well. Well, thanks, Luke. Okay, so we've just got a few other admissions related questions, which I might just get some of my colleagues to answer, or alternatively just pop our email address in the chat, so students can speak about their situation specifically, and then we can chat with them and have a look at the grading scale and so on. So I might just get the team just to pop that in the chat. Oh, thank you. Sorry, I'm just having a look at the questions as I'm talking as well. But yeah, thank you so much to everybody for attending today. Really appreciate you taking the time to attend the session. There's obviously a lot of information. The faculty is quite diverse in its offerings, and the programs, they differ, depending on whether they're kind of more research projects based, or if they are more professional skills based. So yeah, there is a lot to cover, and I am aware that there may be some programs that you are really interested in that we unfortunately didn't get to cover in detail today. But as I have said, we do have our contact details within the chat, and I will get somebody just to pop the link to appointments. So if you do have some specific questions on course structure, how things work, you've got questions on what the subjects are about, you can make an appointment with us, and we can have a chat with you in further detail. But yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, it looks like there were some really great questions that everybody asked. And yeah, thanks so much to my colleagues for answering the questions during the presentation. And yeah, I hope that everybody has a great evening. Thank you.